Hey everybody, in this particular video we're going to be talking about factoring polynomials by using the greatest common factor. Alright, the objectives for this to happen, students have to factor the polynomial using the greatest common factor. In addition to, you have to be able to answer a few following questions as we're going through the lesson. How is factoring a polynomial like factoring integers? Why is it helpful to factor out the greatest common factor from a polynomial? Those are the two questions that we're going to handle. Alright? Before we get into that, a couple of things to discuss. Alright guys, the precise definition of mathematics. You guys seen this. You've seen this on your syllabus. You saw this on your first project that you have did it turned in already by September 2nd before midnight that evening. Anyway, you guys left this question blank. Most of you did. I don't quite understand why. So let's go over this definition. The precise definition of mathematics is the technique to explain, understand, and manage reality specifically by ciphering, counting, measuring, classifying, ordering, inferring, and modeling patterns arising in the environment. On your project, I asked you, how does a teacher use mathematics or something like that? And how would you use it in your future job or career? So for those who did answer it, I did like the answers I read. There was a student who says that he wanted to be a lawyer, and he said he would be using this definition of mathematics by, he says, inferring. He said he had to make a lot of inferences. Guys, when he said the word inference, he was saying you got to come to a conclusion based on the information given to you. As we people like to do sometimes to a fault, we like to make inferences. We jump to conclusions based on anything that's given to us. Like, for example, me, the teacher, when you guys are making inference to students, when a bad teacher a teacher is bad when he or she give you lots of homework, especially over the holiday. Oh, he's a bad teacher. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And you make that inference because I gave you homework over the break. But in reality, it's just for you to do before the holiday start and for you to maintain. Because when you come back for Labor Day, you're not going to remember anything. All right? And then another student says, I want to be an engineer. And he said, well, both he and she, because two people said the same thing in different ways, that one of them said that she wants to be an engineer because she liked to model patterns around the environment. And engineering is just that. You have to model patterns around the situation that's given to you. And those are pretty much what I was asking you guys to do. We know that teacher, the main thing that I do a lot all the time is count. Because when I go to J Campus, I got to count in terms of taking attendance. Measuring, I got to measure your level of understanding of my material. So you're going to see this definition again, and you're going to see it year round, and you're going to have to know it. In fact, you may have to answer a question on it. All right. Extra grade opportunities. It's the first important bit of information we need to talk about. So some of you guys' grades are not looking so hot at the moment. From what I think it is, it's because of not having enough time to do this because you feel you got 8 classes, you got band to do, you got a job to handle, and yet I can't have time to do work. I hear those excuses a lot, and I do understand exactly where you guys are coming from, but to call it out to you, that excuse would not work. But what I can do for you is help you in the sense of better managing your time. Because you got a lot going on, just like adults. We adults, we got a lot to do, but we have to keep up with everything. And also, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm a school student as well. So I do get it. I deal with you guys for 7 to 8 hours a day. I gotta go to class, and then I gotta go home, do my homework in addition to make sure you guys have a lesson and grade your papers and make sure the grades are updated weekly. So how I survive this is this, y'all. I plan and manage my time. Plan and manage my time, man. I'm going to help you with that throughout the week, and we're going to, plan some strategies how to keep everything organized and planned. All right. All right. Extra credit. I'll be throwing some opportunities in Google as the week progress. I'll give you more information about that and deadlines that have to be complete. Now, extra credit. You can't be late on extra credit because once you're not done with it on the time, I don't grade extra credit work if it's late unless you have a valid excuse. All right. The structure of the class, to accommodate you guys, those who are in need of it, I decided to structure things quite a bit. So the lesson, the core of the lesson, is going to be 30 minutes. But the structure of class, I got 90 minutes to deal with you guys. 90 minutes. Within the lesson, 30 of those minutes, I have to go to the lesson and discuss things with you. All right. Next thing, group work. Ideally, it's supposed to be 30. That's what I try to shoot for. But that may have to be reduced because one of the things that I notice when you guys are in groups, you guys kind of don't seem to stay on task the whole time. As a result, you lose your grades because you are being too distracted to other people or you don't complete the task that's in front of you. Group work. I want it to be 30 minutes too, but again, I'm going to have to reduce the time of these two. I can't give you too much time in group work or independent work. So the lesson is still going to be 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes is me just blabbing about the lesson for today. But please be aware that that 30 minutes in group work may have to be dropped down to 15 or 20, but we're going to talk about that in detail in person because there are other things to talk about, such as the announcements, the information that I go over with you. Our data meeting, you know how we always talk about our grades every Monday or Tuesday? You know, that takes time too. So I will have a final schedule of how the class will work each day up in Google Classroom by when we get back from Labor Day the weekend. All right? Kahoot upgrade. So I've been listening to you guys. Some of you guys pulled me to the side, and I thank you for doing that. Was talking to me saying, "Hey, can we have more practice with the Kahoot?" I was like, "What you mean by that?" The student told me, "You got videos for us. So is there a way for you to have the videos within the lessons? I mean, within the Kahoot, especially for us who are at home?" I said, "Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna show you what it all will look like." All right. But this new update of Kahoot may also benefit the students who are quite ahead. So the stuff that I'll be teaching in the classroom in person is no different than what I'm doing in these videos. All right? And that's from now on out. In the past, videos was a little bit different because those previous videos were used to supplement what I already taught. So once more, the videos and Kahoot gonna be one. And let me show you. All right. So some of you guys somewhat caught on already to the new Kahoot. I just didn't have a conversation with you guys. So once you play the Kahoot, you know, you sign in, you put your name or whatnot. Make sure you put your first and last name, your legal first and last name. No nicknames, because I don't know what nicknames are. You know, I know we've been in school for almost a month, but I don't quite know you guys like that. So, but anyway, in this Kahoot upgrade, once you log in, you're gonna have something that looks like this. In the center, there's gonna be a video for you to play. That is going to be required for you to play to get ready to answer the next set of questions. So as I create the videos, each little clip like this is going to be at most 2 minutes long. And it's going to be me showing you an example of one. And before you move on, if you don't understand something, replay the clip. And that's the beauty of having a video. Because in case you feel I'm going too fast, you could slow it down and get what you need. And then after you're through, then you could click over here to move on. And once you do that, then you have an example for you to try out similar to what I did already. Again, when you see the Kahoot that looks like this, play the video first. It's going to show you some examples. And then after you finish, click this to move on, all right? Now, you may need both your Kahoot and your phone to do the material. So ideally, this is best for you guys to do at home, but for the kids who are going up and beyond, this may be an option for you if you like to move on quick. So I could adjust the kids who are still struggling in the classroom. And again, make sure you bring both your phone and your computer, because the phone is going to be pretty much what you're going to use to answer the question, or it's going to tell you, and you're going to need the computer to play the video. All right? And then after you get through with the video and you move on, just like we did from the project, you have to answer a question in the previous video, it showed you about the guy who come from a specific country, and then some British guy telling you about where our number system come from, which we all know from watching that video is from India. So if I was on my phone, I would press the yellow button, circle. All right. And again, each of my co-hosts time is going to have a video of maybe 1 or 2 examples, and then you're going to answer a question just like this. Now, mind you, my co-hosts are not going to all be multiple choice though. All right. At times, you're going to have a Kahoot that's going to be open-ended. I may give you a statement or something, and again, I'm looking for you to tell me what's up. And you just type it up on your phone right here. After you get through, just let the time go out. All right? So again, for those who are at home, because I know math is difficult when you don't got the materials needed to do what you need. But with this being created, no one have no excuse of not doing well in the classroom. All right? And not forget, if you have any questions, please ask them. If you got concerns, of course, you know to email me. I'll write my email here, tHoward5@ebrschools.org. Email me. And that's ebrschools.org. That's for you to do. Again, how you guys get graded, that communication is part of that grade. If you're struggling, you're not talking to me or telling me what's going on, that's an issue. And that's not an issue that's going to be on my part because I give you guys every opportunity to speak to me. So, again, it doesn't matter if I'm yelling, screaming, crying, or whatnot. Your job is to always communicate to me. All right. I think we're good on this. But if y'all got any questions at this point, just email me. All right. Throughout the few weeks of school, we've been talking about greatest common factors. So if I'm saying factors, for example, 6, what I'm asking you are the two numbers multiplied to give you the product of 6. So 2 is a factor of 6 because 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? So let's move on. With that being said, the first one, the greatest common factor of 24 is 16. Now, some of you guys got good response to this already, so go ahead and move on through the video if you already got this down pat. For those who do not, stay tight. So, let's look up the factors that gives me 24. 1 times 24 gives me a factor. 2 times 12 gives me another one. 3 times 8 gives me another one. 4 times 6 gives me another one. And that's all the factors I could mention that gives me 24. So let's do 16. 1 and 16. 2 and 8. And 4 times 4. So we just got to listen all the factors. What is the biggest factor that is in common with 24 and 16? 4. 4 is indeed the case. So the answer is 4. All right. Let's go do 60 and 80. All right. So let's list our factors. 1 and 60. 2 and 30. 30 and, well, I'm sorry. 3 and 20. 4 and 15. Let's do 80. So 80. 1 and 80. 2 and 40. 4 and 20. 5 and 16. And 8 and 10. All right. What is the biggest factor that 60 and 80 have in common? 20. Good job. All right. We should know the answer to this by now. We should know that the greatest common factor of this is 5. Because if we list our greatest common factors, so we know 1 times 35 gives me 35, and I know 5 times 7 gives me 35. I know for 30, it's 1 and 30. 2 times 15 also gives me 30. 3 times 10 gives me 30. And 5 times 6 gives me 30. And we know that the biggest number that they both have, or biggest factor, that number is called a factor, is 5. All right, let's review polynomial. So we know a polynomial function is a function such as a quadratic, which we know is a power of what? To power 2, cubic, being to what power? Power 3, quarters, power 4, and so on, involving only, this is part that we got to emphasize, non-negative integer powers of x. So if they're saying exponents, remember, exponents have to be non-negative. And you could get a general definition of a polynomial. You could define it by its degree. So let's go through this. So if I was to say 5, as I said before, 5 is a polynomial function because 5 has, and this is an arrow, has a variable of x to the power of 0. Remember, the exponent has to be non-negative. 0 is not a negative number. But here, you call this a constant. What if I was to say x? X is 1 too because x has a power of 1. And again, the exponent has to be non-negative. What can I not have when I'm dealing with polynomials? I cannot have an exponent like -1 to happen. I cannot have a root. Any roots, square roots, cube roots, quadratic roots, and we're going to talk about all those type of roots later on. So this cannot happen either. Or I cannot divide, or it being rational. These are 3 things that says not a polynomial function. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so we did the greatest common factor of integers. So we did that already. Now we gotta deal with integers and variables. So here's a rule of thumb. You see this problem right here? Why don't you not do it in 2 parts? Why don't you not do your variables first? Go ahead and list them. 1 times 4 is 4, and we know 2 times 2 is 4, right? And we know 2, we get 1 and 2. So we know the greatest common factor of this is 2. Now, we have to continue with the variables. So 4 has a variable of y and z. 2y has y squared, but we know y squared could be rewritten as y times y. So y and y. So to make this a little bit more neater, now we could put this together. We know, going back to the coefficients, the greatest common factor that they both have, 4 and 2, was 2. Now, what is the latter that they have in common? Looking for the variable that they have in common. So let's look here. We see that both of them have one y. 4 has a y and 2 has a y. So it don't have, so why would I not put z as my greatest common factor? They don't have a z in common. The 4 has a z, but the 2 does not have a z. The 4 does not have a y squared, but the 2 has a y squared. Alright, so let's do that again. And again, if you are stuck, the beauty of having a teacher to do the lesson in that video, then you could replay the parts. before you ask questions. Now, if you don't understand by that part, of course, please shoot me a message and I will respond to those things for you. So let's do this guy right here. Now, again, I'm showing you how to write these things. Now, again, some of you guys are a little bit quick to the draw, so you don't have to do things exactly as how I do it. But for the kids who don't have that skill, you will want to. So let's do it. So we have 4t cubed and 6t cubed. So let's break this down a little bit. Okay, let's list all our factors of 4. So we know 1 is 4 and 2 times 2. They are factors of 4. And I got 3 t's right here. So do your t's like this: 1, 2, and 3. So let's move on to the 6t cubed. So 6 has a factor of 1 and 6 and 2 times 3. And it has 3 t's. So what is the greatest coefficient? The greatest common factor that 4 and 6 have, which is coefficients. 2. So they have a 2. Okay. So now let's look at the variables. What do they both have in common? They both have t to the power of 3 because they got 3 t's on each side. So it's going to be t to the power of 3. That's what they have. And these skills are necessary for us today. Okay. Hopefully by now you tried this out already. So let's go over it. So again, if you got the skill, you don't have to do it this way. But for those who do not, I want you to do it this way because it's just neat and pristine way for you to do things. All right. So 12 and 3. But now I'm going to have to write this in space, so you're going to have to forgive me. It's going to be a little bit everywhere else, so you're going to have to try to be with me through this. You know what? I think I'll find a way to write this. Q. I'm just rewriting the problem, y'all. All right. So just like we did before, let's break down our coefficients first. 12 have the factors of 1 and 12, 2 and 6, because 2 times 6, 3 and 4. All right. And then 3 has only 1 and 3. Now, let's go ahead and break these coefficients up. Variables. So 12 has how many Q's? 2. 1, 2. How many R's? 1, 2, 3. And how many S's? 1. Okay. So 3 has how many Q's? 1. How many R's? 2. 1 and 2. Okay, so let's look and work this out. So, what is the biggest in terms of the coefficients. Coefficients are the integers. What is the biggest coefficient that they have in common? The factor. They have a 3 in common. The biggest 3. The biggest coefficient is 3. So you got 3 right here. Alright? What else do they have in common? Both 12 and 3. So let's just look over here with your variables now. Look at your variables. See how I lined up the 12s and then the 3? The 12s and the 3 has at least both one Q apiece. How many R's do they both have? They both have 2 in common. 2 R's right here and 2 R's right there. So R times R is R to the power of 2. Do they have any S's in common? 12 do, but 3 does not have an S. So that's how you do that. Alright, let's move on. Alright. Guys, I almost forgot to tell you. Before we continue with this, let's go over the details of polynomials. So what call a thing a polynomial besides the exponent is the number of terms you have. Here, you have a term here and a term here separated by an operator, which is the plus. So this is known as a binomial because it's 2. Because they have 2 terms. Alright? And that's just to help you understand the thing too about polynomials. If it's 5x, it's a monomial. Monomial means 1 term because there's no operation separating them with any other terms, just 5x. Alright, I just want to kind of refresh your memory on that. Let's go ahead and get to it. Alright. When you are using your binomial and when you are factoring it, the following must happen. What do they have in common? They only have coefficients in common. Do they have any variables in common? No. So let's get to it. So 24 and 18. We could do that no problem. 1 times 24 is a factor. 2 times 12 is a factor. 3 times 8 is a factor. And 4 times 6 is also a factor. Let's do 18. 1 times 18 is a factor. 2 times 9 is another factor. And 3 times 6 is another factor. With that being said, let's look and see what is the largest factor that 24 and 18 have? 6. They both have 6. The greatest common factor, that is. And you could double check your work in both ways. 6 times what gives you 24? 6 times 4 gives you 24. Alright, what about 18? 6 times 3 gives you 18. Another way of you doing this, and you don't have to waste your time going through all these methods. This is just letting you guys know that there are other ways of doing this. So why don't you not do 24 divided by 6? 24 divided by 6, that's going to give you 4. And then 18 divided by 6 also gives you 3. And they give you other factors. So when you divide them by the same factor, as long as it gives you another factor, you're good. And if you notice, it gives you the other factor to go along with it, because 18 divided by 6 is 3. But 3 times 6 is 18. 24 divided by 6 is 4. But 4 times 6 is 24. So that's how you could double check your work. All right, we're not finished with this yet. All right, erase, erase, erase. So let's go ahead and put our answer together. So we got 6 x squared 4x squared plus 3. That's your final answer. This that is inside the parentheses is called a factor. A factor is an expression in the parentheses moving forward. All right. All right, you try this one. Or you already have by now. So let's do it. So 6 and 20. A fast way of doing this, you don't have to keep doing what I've been doing. You don't have to list all your factors. One thing that you can do is simply just divide things out. Well, not really. That's not going to work either. I'm sorry, y'all. So let's go to our way of doing things. So we know that 6 has 2 times 3. And we know that 20 has 2 times 10. And we know that 2 is the biggest common factor that they have. So 2 on the outside, 3a plus 10. All right. Again, this is your factor. This is what is left from when you pull things out. And again, we've been factoring in class for a minute, so we could double check our work. Using the distributive property, we get 6a plus 20. All right. All right. Now, this is called a trinomial. If I'm saying trinomial, what am I saying? Tri means 3. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 terms, and the operators that separate those dictates all of that. All right. So let's do this one. This is no different than what we've been doing so far. Greatest common factor. Both 4, 2, and 8. So let's list our factors. No, let's do it the other way. I'm tripping. Let's be neat about it. 4, 2, and 8. You don't have to do this at all. I'm doing this just to be nice. Alright, so we know the factors of 4, I'm right here, is 1 times 4 gives me 4, and 2 times 2 gives me 4. And how many b's I got? I got 3 b's, so 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we know 1 times 2 gives me the fact which gives me the product of 2. And how many b's I got? 2. 1 and 2. Let's do 8. 1 and 4. 1 and 8, sorry. 1 and 8 and 2 times 4. How many b's I have? 1. So, what is the greatest common factor coefficient that I'm speaking of that 2, 4, and 8 has? They have a 2. Because 4 has a 2 here. Yo, trying to highlight, but it's tripping. Has a 2 there. 2 has a 2 right over here. And 8 has the 2 right there. That's the biggest number they have. I know somebody was going to make a mistake and say 4, but if you look in the 2, that's no number times 4 gives you 2. So, you put 2. Alright? So, now let's look at the variables. How many variables do each of them have? 2, 4, 8, they have at least how many b's? At least 1. Because 4 have at least 1 b, 2 has 1 b, and 8 has 1 b. So, you're going to put your b right here. Alright, now let's create ourselves a parenthesis and put the stuff in. So, 2 times blank gives me 4. It is 2. 2. So if I took a b, how many b's I got left? 2 b's. So that's going to be b squared. Alright? 2 times blank, the 2 is right here, times blank gives me positive 2. 1b, or you could just say b. You don't even have to type right 1. So just b. I don't know, I went too far. I mean too fast. There was 1b. And how many b's I have left if I took 1 out? 1b there. So that's where the 1b comes from. So again, 2 times blank gives me 2, which is 1. If I already took a b from over here, I'm left with 1b. Alright? Now let's do the last part. 2 times blank gives me 8. 4 plus 4. So if I took a b, do I have any b's left over here? No, I don't have no b's left. So the last part is plus 4. And that's what we got. And that's how you rewrite it. So let me erase all this for you. Again, the beauty of a video is you can always pause and replay things. All right, so let me rewrite this final answer. So my final answer is 2b with parentheses of 2b squared plus 1b plus 4. And remember, you don't need to write the 1 because a variable by itself is always understood to be 1b, or 1 times the variable. And that's how you do problems like that, just like that. All right, let's deal with a difficult one. You got Y's and you got some Z's going on. So look, let me give you a piece of thumb, a rule of thumb. Anytime you see a negative, you see one negative here, or you see two, that means that they all going to have a negative in common. So if I pull out a negative, what's going to happen to this plus sign? It's going to become negative because a negative times another negative makes a positive. So keep that a rule of thumb. When you see at least one of these negatives, that means that your negatives, you're going to have one negative as a greatest common factor. So let's do it. So I'm going to write this with my fat marker. We know we have a negative 8. We know we have a negative 40. And we know we have a positive 48. But again, remember, because you see one negative, they are going to have negatives in common to factor out. So be careful with all that. Then we're going to get their variables together. Y squared z and 40yz and 48z. All right. Let's go ahead and be neat about it. Again, this is just me trying to be neat as best I can. All right. Now I'm changing it to my pencil so it could be easily read. All right. So let's do it. So 1 times negative 8. All right. This 8y that I'm doing, the factors of negative 8, I'm just making one of them negative because a positive times a negative is a negative. 2 times negative 4. All right. And then let's do the y's. How many y's I got? 2 of them. So 1, 2, 1z. Okay, let's do 40. Okay, 1. I got a negative 8. 2, negative 20. 4 times negative 10. 5 and negative 8. I got one y and one z. Okay, let's do 48. Now, 48 is positive, but I told you that each of these is going to have a negative number in common. But here, for positive, for this this is positive. So for a positive to happen, you got to multiply by two negatives. So let's do it. -1 times -40. I'm sorry, 48. All right. -2 times -24. All right. I'm just listing all the factors I know. So -8 times -6. And -4 times well, no, it's not that. That is -3 times -16. All right. I don't have a z in common. All right. So we did all this work. So let's look for the greatest common coefficient that -8, -40, and +48 has. The biggest number that they all have is 8, -8. Because -8 times -6 is +48. Oh, pause for a second. I was tripping on this one right here. So it's 1, -40. Because 1 times -8 is going to give you -8, not -40. Speaking of which, 8, -8 times +5 does give me a -40. 1 times -8 also gives me -8. So we know our greatest common factor, factor which is coefficient, is -8. All right, let's see what do they have in common. They all have a z in common. That's a z there, and a z there. So bam. So when we put our final answer together, we're gonna have -8z with the parentheses of, well, I'm left with this, y squared, and then 8 times what gives me -40. Well, -8 times what gives me -40. +5 plus 5, and what I'm left with, y. All right. So -8 times what gives me +48, -6, and then what I was left with, nothing. So that's just that. So my final answer is just that. And if you want to check your work, use the distributive property if you want to. And we could do that right quick. So -8z times y squared, you get -8y squared z. All right. -8z times +5, that gives me negative 40yz and negative 8z times negative 6 is positive 48z. And that's how you do a problem like that. I want you to try this one on your own. From Kahoot, you should have gotten the answer of. Now I'm going to do this a bit differently because we already drew our boxes and all this out there in the examples. So I'm going to just shorthand it just a little bit. I know for this particular example, the greatest common factor of all of these, they have a 4, then they have an x in common. So I took that out. All right. So 4 times blank gives me x fourth. 4 to the power of x4. So it's just x to the power of 3. Don't forget about your law of exponents when you add them together. When you multiply, you add the exponents, and you should get this guy. All right. 4x times blank gives me my negative 16x cubed. Negative 4x squared gives me that. And don't forget, multiply them together. Hold up, give me a second. I could rewrite this for you. So I'm going to put the final answer right here. I want you to see the work as we are doing it. Again, I chose not to do the box method stuff because I think by now that's became intuitive. So I'm just being quick about it. But if you were struggling with that box method the way that I was doing earlier, just come see me. All right. All right. So I did this guy and I did this guy. All right. 4x times blank gives me 8x squared. Plus 2x. Because when I multiply those, don't forget your exponents add and you get this guy. And finally, 4x times blank gives me 12x. Plus 3. And you could just check your work from there. So you could do like how we did with long division. And just set this up. So 4x times x cubed is 4x to the power of 4. Check. I got that. All right. 4x times negative 4x squared is negative 16x cubed. Check. I got that one. All right. So all I'm doing is taking this guy and multiplying by all these pieces to get these above. check my work. All right, 4x times 2x is 8x squared. Boom, kitty got wet. All right, 4x times 3 is 12x. I got that too. Bam. And that is how you do that problem. I have shown you multiple ways of it. I did it with the box method if I wasn't sure about my grades coming factors. And then I did it this way since I knew what my grades coming factors were and the like. Again, you are struggling with the grades coming factor stuff, I will have other supplemental videos for you to, kind of see. Alright, I'm done with this Kahoot. I'm done with this lesson. So, go work the practice Kahoot problems that are already assigned to you. If you are with me or working with me with this lesson, you're going to complete a worksheet or just try and get it done. If you are struggling, check Google. I have more resources for you to kind of help you with this a little bit more.